Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the concept of safety, how to be safe in the various different countries that are known for high crime areas. I have experience living in Mexico, Brazil. I've been to Rio, I've been to Guadalajara, I've been to Tepic, I've been to Mexico City. I had one unfortunate experience in Guadalajara. I'll talk to you about that mistake that I made and then how I've learned from that. To cut the long story short, I made the unfortunate mistake of assuming that because I was in an apparently safe neighborhood in Guadalajara, full of palatial homes and fancy cars, that it was okay to walk at 10 o'clock at night. That I thought that it wasn't so late, it didn't seem so dangerous. But oh wait, lo and behold, just walk down the wrong street, and it's night and day. It's poorly illuminated. There are no fancy cars anymore. It doesn't seem like anybody lives here at all. And suddenly, a beat down yellow, seemingly a cab car, but not even a cab. Looks like a cab just pulls by. A couple of teenagers run out with pistols drawn, and yeah, it's your money or your life. So, what mistake did I make? I assumed that there's safety in an apparently wealthy neighborhood, and this was the city center of Guadalajara Center, not so far from the U.S. Embassy. What drives crime up is wealth inequality. So if you're seeing such extreme contrasts in the economic equality, you see wide gaps in the standards of living between one block and another. You can assume that it's a high crime area, that you can literally walk into a war zone. Now, in the United States, we know all about that. We know all about how in Detroit and Houston and Chicago, it's easy to just take the wrong turn and you are in the world of hurt. So what I would recommend above all is that you never ever carry anything that you're not willing to lose. After when my wallet was stolen, I lost a cell phone, 10 credit cards, and even one. Thankfully, not even one. No debit cards. I left my debit cards at home. I went on another wallet. So you always need to have two wallets at least and stuff the other wallet with monopoly money. If you have worthless currency from a country like Argentina or Paraguay or Serbia, just stuff your wallet with useless currency. If the thieves want to have that, let them feel like they got something valuable. Uh, you carry a wallet with a lot of expired credit cards. Maybe take one with a low credit card balance on it, a low limit. So if they steal something, you let them have something that's worthless or close to it. Never ever carry everything on you. Also, you need to have a second phone, a backup phone, if you can help it. It would be a good idea to have a backup phone. So if a thief catches you in the middle of nowhere in a country like Mexico or Brazil and you tell him he got nothing, well, if he is, you don't know what kind of drugs he's on, he just might just shoot you in the head and call it a day. You don't want to make him angry. You want to give him something. So give him a crap phone, give him a bunch of chump change, and tell him this is all you're carrying, and leave it at that. Now, the other thing you want to do is make sure that you try to blend in. Don't announce to the locals that you're a foreigner. If you don't look apart, if you don't look the part, well, at least the best thing you can do is not talk. If you're in Mexico, maybe you can pass for a light skinned Mexican, and if you're a darker, if you have darker skin, or you're a person from mixed race, that's another advantage for you. Because if you look like you're from that place, like you're from the country you're in, it's best that you just let people think that you are. But if you're not, and it's obvious that you don't look like you're from there, the best thing you can do is just keep your mouth shut. Even if you speak their language fluently, even if you speak native Spanish, they're going to be able to tell just by the slang you use, by the accent you have that you're not from there. For example, if you're from Puerto Rico, they can tell by your accent that you're not native Mexican, and then they're going to assume that you probably are richer than some of the locals there, and you're an easy target for a mugging. And if you get mugged, well, who's going to come looking for you? You think the U.S. government is going to come looking for you? But no, but if they're to think that you're a local Mexican person, for all they know, somebody from your family, somebody from the local cartel, somebody from your neighborhood may go to the police department and really make waves and start asking questions. But you never ever want to advertise yourself as a foreigner who's out alone in this country, Yeah, because that's just an easy target. Any seasoned traveler will tell you that expats are always profitable to rip off because they probably carry more and they have less support, and it's just a low risk, high reward kind of a scheme. So try to blend in and try not to carry anything. Try not to carry anything that you're not willing to lose, and also travel in the company of 3 or 4 different people if you can. Travel in the company of locals, blend in as much as possible, and don't. And whatever you do, try not to stand out. Now, Keith, you have your own experience in Mexico, Acapulco. You've been a keynote speaker on Acapulco, and you know Acapulco is actually super dangerous, even by Mexican standards. And as far as I could tell, there are bodies on the streets if you go on down the wrong street. How did you not stand out like a sore thumb, and what precautionary measures did you take?
Yeah, and Acapulco, I've visited some expat communities there a few times, and it's one of the most dangerous cities in the world. But there's a way that you can navigate around that. There's a mountain range that runs right through the middle of the city of Acapulco, and on the coastal side, that area tends to be very touristy. There's a lot of hotels. There's a lot of resort-like facilities. There's a lot of expats that live there. That area is relatively safe because, in part, because the Mexican government values the um, economic benefits of having a large tourist or an expat community there on the coast in Acapulco. But if you go to the other side of the mountain range that runs through the city, that area is actually controlled by a cartel, and it's an extraordinarily dangerous area. And when I first went there, one thing that a lot of local expats told me was don't go to the other side of the mountain range. That area over there is dangerous, particularly if you're a foreigner. And that's obviously the issue. As Alexis said, you don't want to stand out if you're a foreigner. Now, in my case, I mean, no one is ever going to mistake me for being Mexican. All right. So, what I would do in Mexico is I would not venture to places that I was not familiar with. As Alexi was saying, whenever I would go out in some kind of public area, I usually like to go with other people. Certainly going outside after dark is a problem. I would do any shopping or whatever I needed to do during the day. And it's also important not to carry things with you that people are going to think of value. You don't want to wear jewelry, for example, that looks expensive. You don't want to carry a wad of cash and be flashing cash when you're going to the store to buy things. People will notice that. Local people will notice that, and that can make you a target for mugging or robbery or something like that. Um, so a lot of this is just a matter of common sense. These are common sense methods you can apply to protect your own safety when you're in a place that you're not that familiar with. Don't go out after dark if you're going to an area you're not familiar with. Um, Travel in groups with other people when possible. Get to know the local area. Get to know local expats. You know, take advice they give you as far as staying away from potentially dangerous areas. Uh, go to places that are better policed than others. For instance, there are some beach areas in Acapulco that the federales, the Mexican army, essentially serves as a police force. And the reason why they do that is because the local police tend to be very incompetent, but the Mexican government wants these touristy areas on the beaches to be safe because otherwise tourists aren't going to go there, and the low and tourism is an important part of their economy. For instance, whenever I would go to this one beach, you would see guys, members of the Mexican army with holding AK-47s standing on street corners, and that's what they're there for. They're there to make sure that the cartels and local criminal groups or just individual criminals do not harass or otherwise bother the tourist. So it's important to consider all these things and be familiar with your surroundings. And Acapulco, like I said, is one of the most dangerous cities in the world. It's not uncommon for bodies to wash up on the beach because someone's been murdered and they dumped the body in the um, at the same time, I know people who've lived for years in Acapulco haven't had any problem. And at the same time, I knew a fellow who was killed in Acapulco because he went to Acapulco and he was doing things he shouldn't have done, should have been doing. And that's
What was he
another.
doing? What was he killed?
Well, he was involved in drugs. Um, yeah, and
Gotcha.
that's a really important aspect of being an expat anywhere. Is you don't want to expose yourself to dangerous situations, and in particular, you don't want to be involved in dangerous activities. I mean, obviously, illegal activities are a big part of that. You don't want to be involved in drugs, for example. Not only are you running the risk of running afoul of the law in another country, but you're also running the risk of being involved in dangerous people and exposing yourself to dangers that are completely unnecessary. And then there are other activities like that. If you avoid shady activities in another country, your level of safety is going to increase significantly. And beyond that, it's a matter of using common sense. It's not doing things that are going to make you a target. For instance, if you're going to drive in a foreign country, you may want to drive an older model car or a car that's not particularly fancy. Even if you have an expensive, fancy car, you maybe want to be restrained in terms of where you drive, because that can make you a target. If you look like you're somebody that has money or something valuable, I mean, or some places they'll just steal your car. They'll pull a gun on you and take your car. These are all things to think about, and I don't want to sound like an alarmist because many people all over the world have an expat experience that's very positive, but there are safety issues involved, obviously, particularly when you're going to a poor country where there's a lot of poverty and there's a high crime rate. That's something you got to be mindful of and avoid.
See, one thing I want to point out is that it's not so much just about poverty, but extreme inequality. When I lived in Mexico, I once rented a luxury apartment with an infinity pool for $600 a month, off season. But then when I looked out my balcony from where I could see the ocean, I've seen people living in tinfoil shacks. And that kind of opulence juxtaposed against the abject poverty, this is what drives up crime. And what I saw in Guadalajara is that I got my Airbnb in a really upscale neighborhood for $20 a night. But then, just when I wandered off the different street, it's a different reality. That it's almost as if the super wealthy, the plutocrats of Guadalajara live side by side with the absolutely indigent. You've got to look out for that, I think. You've got to look out for signs of extreme inequality, because when you see that, I think it's a safe bet that you're probably not safe, and you need to be especially mindful. Never ever let that idea that you're in a safe neighborhood lull you into false sense of security. Because for all you know, just a block away, there is a different reality lurking right beneath the surface. Now, as a sociologist, I'm sure you know a lot about how inequality and crime go hand in hand.
Yeah, and that's a pattern you see worldwide, and it's definitely something to be mindful of when you become an expat. You've got to be mindful of the local socioeconomic conditions, as well as crime rates and all the other factors that contribute to that.
Yeah, so I think that's it for today. Guys, to sum it up, blend in, don't talk unless you have to. Try to hang out with locals who will guide you around. Look out for signs of inequality and make sure you know the area before you venture off. And of course, don't do anything stupid, obviously stupid, like showing signs of wealth, like fancy rings, watches, fancy cars. Try to appear as commonplace and as local as possible. Keith, any closing thoughts?
A lot of this is just a matter of common sense, but you've got to know your surroundings. You've got to know something about where you are. That's one of the things we do when we help people become expats is we help them research this information and make the best decision for whatever they need.
All right, thanks so much, and you'll be hearing from us again soon.